Hello everyone, Andy here. There are over 7,000 languages on Earth, but most of them belong to just a handful of massive language families. I'm going through the entire linguistic map from A to Z. We're covering the giants like Indo-European and the endangered tongues you've never heard of. Let's begin. A is for Afro-Asiatic. This isn't just a big family. It's one of the oldest written families in human history. It spans from the Atlantic coast of Morocco all the way to Iraq. Beyond its massive speaker count, it gave us the Abjad, the very first alphabet system. Whether it's the ancient hieroglyphs of Egypt or modern Arabic and Hebrew, this family relies on a root pattern system. You take a root of 3 consonants, like KTB, and systematically insert varying vowel patterns to create words related to writing. It's a linguistic template. B is for Bantu. Technically a massive sub-branch of Niger-Congo, it tells the story of the Bantu expansion. About 3,000 years ago, speakers moved south, bringing ironworking and farming with them. Linguistically, they are famous for noun classes. In English, we just have he, she, or it. In Swahili or Zulu, you might have a specific grammatical class for humans, another for trees, another for long thin objects, and another for abstract ideas. Your adjectives must agree with the shape or nature of the noun. C takes us to the extreme edge of Russia for Chukotko-Kamchatkan. These populations have lived in one of the harshest environments on Earth for thousands of years. Their grammar is polysynthetic. This means they don't just build sentences, they build megawords. In Chukchi, you can take the subject, the object, and the verb and fuse them into a single word chain. It's highly efficient for communicating complex ideas without pausing for breath in the freezing cold. D is for Dravidian. While North India speaks Indo-European languages, the South speaks Dravidian. These languages, like Tamil and Telugu, likely represent the original languages of the subcontinent before Indo-Aryans arrived. They are agglutinative, meaning they glue suffixes together in long, clean chains. They also gave the world distinct retroflex consonants, sounds made by curling your tongue back towards the roof of your mouth. If you hear that distinctive sound in Indian English today, you can thank the influence of Dravidian grammar. E is for Escalute, or Inuit Yupik Unangan. These languages form a dialect continuum stretching across the top of the world. A speaker in Alaska might struggle to understand a speaker in Greenland, but the links are there. These languages are famous for having no real concept of adjectives as separate words. Instead of saying the big red house, they would use a root for house and attach suffixes for big and red directly onto it. It is a language of extreme precision. F is for Formosan. This isn't a single branch, but a collective term for the indigenous languages of Taiwan. This island is ground zero, the Ohaimat, or the linguistic homeland of the Austronesian family. Thousands of years ago, sailors left Taiwan and spread these languages to the Philippines, Hawaii, New Zealand, and even Madagascar. But the most diverse, ancient forms of the language stayed behind in the Taiwanese mountains, preserving complex grammar that other islanders eventually simplified. G is for Germanic. This family splits into 3 historic groups: North like Swedish, West like English and German, and the extinct East like Gothic. The defining trait here is Grimm's Law. It's a sound shift that separated them from the rest of the Indo-Europeans. Where a Latin speaker says piscis, they shifted the P to an F to say fish. Where they say tres, they shifted the T to TH to say 3. It's the genetic fingerprint of the language history. H is for Mongolian. Historically known as Miao Yao, these speakers have a long history of migration to avoid assimilating into major Chinese dynasties. To the untrained ear, these languages sound musical. That's because they have a massive tone inventories. While Mandarin has 4 tones, some Hmong-Mien languages have 8 or more. Also, they have no stops at the end of syllables. Words flow smoothly into one another, relying entirely on pitch to distinguish meaning. I is the Titan, Indo-European. From a small tribe on the Russian steppes 6,000 years ago, this family conquered the world. It includes everything from Sanskrit to Portuguese. The magic here is fusional morphology. In Spanish, the word comí or I ate tells you the person, the tense, and the aspect, all in one syllable. Unlike other families that glue distinct pieces together, Indo-European languages fuse grammatical concepts into single, tight sounds. J is for Japonic. For a long time, people thought Japanese was a language isolate, but it actually has a family tree. It includes Japanese and the distinct Ryukyuan languages, spoken in Okinawa. These languages broke apart about 2,000 years ago. While they share grammar, like placing the verb strictly at the end of the sentence or SOV order, they are mutually unintelligible. An Okinawan speaker and a Tokyo speaker cannot understand each other without learning the other's language. K is for Koreanic. While mostly dominated by modern Korean, it includes the unique Jeju language spoken on Jeju Island, which retains ancient vocabulary lost on the mainland. Koreanic is famous for its social engineering. The honorific system is so detailed that you must constantly assess your relationship with the listener. Are they older, higher rank, a stranger? Politeness isn't a choice. It's a grammatical rule. And of course, it uses Hangul, arguably the most logical writing system ever invented. L is for Lolo-Burmese. This is a powerhouse branch of Sino-Tibetan. It includes Burmese, the national language of Myanmar, and the Yi languages of China. These languages show us evolution in action. Historically, they had complex endings on their words. Over centuries, they dropped those endings and developed tones to compensate. It's a perfect example of the cycle of language. When sounds wear off, pitch takes over to keep meanings clear. M is for Mongolic. Born on the steppes, this family rode with Genghis Khan. Today, it spans from Mongolia down to China and even out to the Caspian Sea with the Kalmyk people. The hallmark here is vowel harmony. The vowels in a word must belong to the same class, either masculine or feminine. It makes the language sound incredibly consistent and rhythmic. Also, traditional Mongolian script is one of the few written vertically, from top to bottom, left to right. N is for Nilotic. Spoken by cattle herding cultures like the Maasai, Dinka, and Nur in East Africa, these languages have a fascinating singulative collective system. In most languages, the basic word is singular, example, one ant. But in Nilotic, the basic word is often the group of ants. You have to add a special suffix if you want to talk about just one individual item. It reflects a worldview where the collective group is the default state of nature. O is for Ottomanguean. This is the oldest, most diverse family in Mesoamerica. It was likely spoken by the people who first domesticated corn. The tonal systems here are mind-blowing. In Mazatec or Chinantec, the tones carry so much meaning that the actual consonants and vowels are optional. Men can carry on entire conversations across valleys just by whistling the melody of the sentence, no words required. P is for Pamanyungan. This family swept across 90% of Australia, replacing many older languages. A unique cultural trait here is mother-in-law languages, or avoidance speech. In many of these cultures, it was taboo to speak directly to certain relatives, so they developed an entirely separate vocabulary, a respect register, used only when those relatives were nearby. It's a language built entirely around social respect. Q is for Quechuan. This was the lingua franca of the Inca Empire. The Incas spread it intentionally to unify their vast territory. Quechua is strict about the truth. It uses evidentiality. If you say the road is blocked, you must use a specific suffix that tells the listener how you know. Did you see it? Did you hear about it? Or are you guessing? In Quechua, Grammar prevents you from passing off gossip as fact. R is for Romance. Think of Spanish, French, and Italian as siblings. They all grew out of the same parent language, Vulgar Latin. This created a dialect continuum. Neighbors across borders often share enough vocabulary to get by, like a Portuguese speaker understanding a Galician speaker in Spain. But the further you travel down the chain, the harder it gets, until the languages become mutually unintelligible. S is for Sino-Tibetan. This family has two phases. You have the Sinitic side, or Chinese, which became analytic and monosyllabic. Then you have the Tibeto-Burman side, which remained incredibly diverse. While Chinese dialects united under a single writing system, the Tibeto-Burman languages in the Himalayas fractured into hundreds of unique valleys. Some have complex verb agreements, some don't. It's one of the hardest families to classify because the diversity is so massive. T is for Turkic. This family powered the great nomadic empires of history, but it wasn't always written with Latin or Cyrillic letters. They originally had their own runes, the Orkhon script. Inscriptions found on giant stones in Mongolia from the 8th century show that the grammar spoken by ancient nomads is almost identical to the grammar spoken in Istanbul today. It is a linguistic time capsule. U is for Uralic. These are the linguistic rebels of Europe. While almost everyone around them speaks Indo-European, these languages are total outsiders. Hungarian is not related to its neighbors like Austria or Romania. It is actually a distant cousin of languages spoken by reindeer herders in Siberia, like Khanty and Mansi. Looking at a linguistic map of Europe, Uralic languages are like islands in a sea of Indo-European. V is for Vasconic. This is a putative language family that includes modern Basque and the extinct Aquitanian language. Ancient Roman inscriptions in the region of Aquitaine contain names that are clearly related to modern Basque. This proves that Basque isn't just a random oddity. It's the sole survivor of a family that once covered a large chunk of Western Europe before the Indo-Europeans arrived. W is for Wakashan, spoken by the indigenous peoples of the Pacific Northwest coast, like the Kwakwaka'wakw and Nuchanur. These languages are deeply tied to the potlatch culture. Linguistically, they rely on lexical suffixes, concepts that we think as nouns, like head, back, or beach, are often suffixes attached to a verb. You don't walk on the beach, you walk beach. It blurs the line between object and action. X is for Sincan. This is a tragic story. It was a small family of 4 languages in Guatemala, genetically distinct from their Mayan neighbors. Though now extinct, we know from records that Sincan had a lot of contact with Mayan languages, borrowing words for agriculture and trade. Today, the Sinca people are fighting to revive their cultural identity, proving that a people can survive even when their language sleeps. Y is for Yanomamam, spoken by the Yanomami people on the border of Brazil and Venezuela. They remained isolated from the outside world longer than almost any other major group. Their language reflects their culture. They have strict taboos against saying the names of the dead, or even the names of prominent living people. This forces the language to change rapidly, as common words that sound like names have to be thrown out and replaced to avoid offense. And Z is for Zokian. Along the Michian, this forms the Miche-Zoque family. The family is royalty. Archaeologists believe the Olmecs, the mother culture of Mexico, who built the giant stone heads, spoke a Miche-Zoquian language. The undeciphered Isthmian script, found on ancient statues, may well be an ancient form of Zokian. It is a language that holds the secrets of the first civilization in North America. And there you have it, the entire globe covered in language families from A to Z. Like, subscribe, and comment which language I should cover next, and I'll see you in the next one.